The most important thing you could do when you're looking at data is to figure out what it is you want your students to do. And that sounds painfully obvious, but I think sometimes the answer is I want my students to do everything. And then it's very difficult to measure everything. So if I want my students to hit grade level, I want my students to exceed grade level, then I look for data that will help me understand that. We use some school-wide data that we've developed over time. ACT scores tend to show correlation for college readiness. So ACT is pretty important for us as we look at school-wide data. ACT will tell us if students are college ready or not. The ACT breaks down their data into 3 sections: college ready, nearing college ready, and not college ready. We may be trying to follow that same framework. What are we going to do for students who, within the first 2 months, 9th grade, are not college ready? Then what are we going to do for students who are nearing college ready? What kind of goal can we set for them? And then how are we going to keep pushing those who are college ready to achieve? So we set global goals, and I think we're now getting to a point where we realize we could probably parse those into 3 and do more effective globally. ACT has national data that tells you a student will grow this many points over this time and this time and this time, and how we're able to beat it, and by how much. That helps because we realize then there's something we're doing that makes us better. We've also looked at data of our scholarship money, of some things that we do that you might consider non-academic, but that make a difference for our students. There was a report recently, maybe 2 years ago, by the Legislative Finance Committee that looked at dual credit, students taking college classes while in high school. And we have been tracking how many credits our students are earning at the time of their graduation. When we began tracking that 4 years ago, we were at about 1.5 credits per graduate. Now, 4 years later, we're averaging 10.5 credits. So students are graduating with about 3.5 classes each on the average. Every senior last year graduated with 3 credits of English, which means that no students needed to go into college and take an English remedial course. We've started looking at the amount of college scholarship money our students have earned. We know that students are likely to struggle to pay for college, so the more we can do to help decrease that amount for them and their families, the more likely they are to graduate. On the average, our students get about I think last year was like $22,000 of scholarship offers. And that's over 4 years. A few years ago, we looked at our failure rates and then looked at how many of those students who failed classes dropped out of our school. And when 70% of our students who failed Algebra 1 dropped out, we believed in some ways that it was in their best interest to take the class again, but they weren't doing it at our school. So if we really believed it was in their best interest, we had to believe it was in their best interest in our school. So we started to look, and some of our data was concerning in terms of how holding students to high standards was being played out over time. We know in our data of having 85 to 90% really college ready, really getting an ACT or an AccuPlacer score that's close, that gets them where they need to do, we have to be helping that other 10 to 15% get into the career-ready programs they need or other college programs and provide them that guidance. So as we are looking at the needs of our students to prepare them for their best choice, which will increase the likelihood of their succeeding and graduating college, we have to add an 11th and 12th grade, we're going to call the person probably an achievement coach. A person will do some discipline and things like that, but will help plan for students so that they make the best choices for college. Our global data informs us. In some ways, we're learning things in sort of a counterintuitive way that you would think if you could just keep getting more teachers, keep making classes smaller, everything would be fine. There's a preparation, there's a planning that goes into what you do beyond high school that we have to provide. What are those types of skills students need to learn to be successful? Every single student is supposed to have a future when they walk in our doors, and we have to be able to provide that for them.